Welcome and thank you for joining me for yet another episode of Book Talk. Now, in the last episode, I took you back to the summer of 2011 when first created four superheroes, who were all clad in black. They pretty much wore all black t-shirts, black pants, black dusters, black boots, and I told you about how I created them, I ended the episode before I told you what their name was. Well, um, I think I also mentioned that that when I originally created them, I wanted to go kind of like a religious theme, and the reason why is because I realized none other superhero band that I ever heard of went the religious route, so that's what the route I decided to go. So in keeping with that, in July of 2011, I came up with a name for my four clad in black hover cycle riding superheroes. Okay, are you ready? Get ready. I called them Dark Holy Rollaz, Satan Killaz. Dark Holy Rollaz, Satan Killaz, or DHRZSZ for short. Okay, now, if that title makes you cringe, no more than me, buddy. No more than me. I still can't believe that's what I originally called them. And they kept that name until the spring of 2012. But wait, hold up. Let's not jump ahead of the story yet because we're not done with the summer of 2011 yet. Now, after I came up with the name Dark Holy Rollaz, Satan Killaz, I came up with the titles for what would become the first three episodes of the Dark Holy Rollaz series. The three episodes were titled Mark of Cain, History of Dragus, and Sanctuary of the Devil Worshippers. Yep, those were the three. First three episodes of the Dark Holy Rollaz series. Now, I started with the scripts in July of 2011, and kept on working on them all the way forward until the spring of 2012. Basically, Mark of Cain was supposed to be a story about. I'm not so sure I really had a complete concept of exactly what I wanted, but it was gonna the main villain was his name was going to be Cain, and it was gonna be some kind of revenge story, but I'm not really sure what I was really looking for in that. History of Dragus was about an alien who lands in the city of Chicago and takes over the city of Chicago and the state of Illinois and makes it his new empire. Sanctuary of the Devil Worshippers was supposed to take place after the alien invasion and be about a group of a cult of devil worshippers, whose leader would be a guy named Damien. Now, in the spring of 2012, after many developments of these three stories, as the stories were developing, as the characters were developing, I started to realize more and more that this religious theme is not really working for me anymore. And I don't know. It's as the stories were developing and the characters started to become, start to have, I started creating personalities for these characters. I started creating like mannerisms and things like that. And the religious themes just, it didn't fit anymore. It just didn't fit anymore. It wasn't appropriate anymore. So, in the summer of 2012, I changed the name of the superheroes again. And actually, you know what? I'm gonna save the name I changed them to for the next episode. But there's something that I can tell you right now. Let's go back to July of 2011 for a minute. Okay, now I want to tell you an interesting story. And by July of 2011, I had been unemployed for a year and a half at this point. I don't ask. Series of bad decisions. It's a long story. It's a whole video all by itself. But a series of bad decisions led to me having been unemployed for a year and a half, leading up to July of 2011. Now, I finally was about to interview for a job which was gonna, get me out of unemployment at last. And the night before it was to do this job interview. The job interview was supposed to be the next day at 9 a.m. I stayed up that night until 1 a.m. saying, that's not very wise. Spoiler alert, it's not very wise. To take this as a piece of advice, it's not very wise to go to bed at 1 a.m. when your job interview is at 9 a.m. Just a little life hack for you. Okay, anyway, I was going to bed at 1 a.m. and then something interesting happened. What happened was I suddenly started getting inspiration. As soon as I lied down on the couch to go to bed, I started getting inspiration, and I rose up from the couch to write down my ideas quickly so that I could hurry up and go back to bed. Except every time I lied back down, I would get more and more inspiration that led to me getting up and writing in this notebook. Because, if you're a writer, you know that when inspiration hits, you need to write right now, because you never know if you're going to lose this inspiration forever. Every single time I lied down to bed that night, I kept constantly getting inspired, and I had to get up and write in this notebook. This happened to me a dozen times that night, and as a result, I didn't end up finally laying my head down for good until 4 a.m. 4 a.m. I finally lied my head down for good. And when I had a job interview at 9 o'clock that morning for a job that would break me out of a year and a half of unemployment. Well, the good news is I still did very well on the job interview. I think it's because I was beyond prepared for it. So I did well on the job interview. I did end up getting the job, but as far as the inspiration that night ended up leading to me changing the name of Mark of Cain to Cult of Stephen. But when I wrote it down on paper, I said, I wonder if people are going to look at this and think I mean Cult of Stephen. And I said, I don't want people to think Cult of Stephen because his name is not Stephen. So what I did was I added an I to it. And now I changed the name of Cult to Cult of Stephen. Cult of Stephen. And that's what the title has been ever since. Episode 2 remained History of Dragon, and episode 3 remained Sanctuary of the Devil Worshippers. But the journey is still long from over. We'll help you get to where the titles became what they are today. But I just want you to know what the titles were in the summer of 2011 through the spring of 2012. So join me for the next episode where we're gonna find out what I changed the name to after I decided to walk away from the religious theme and decided no more Dark Holy Rollaz, Satan Killaz. So please click the link below the video. Check out the book's website, and the link to the other books are on the book's website. And all the Night Crusader series books have a free chapter available on the website that you can read before you decide if you want to buy the book. So thank you for joining me here today, and join me for the next episode of Book Talk very, very soon.